Welcome to the Nine Line Podcast. We're super pumped to be down here underwater with Joe Dituri.
Underwater. At the bone crushing depth of 22 feet.
Also here with Nick Powers from
the most pressure change in the first 30 feet, right?
You are absolutely
I remember
correct.
that from my instructor course.
You taught me that. Just kidding, you teach me shit.
I didn't teach you a damn thing because I wasn't your instructor.
No, you
Wait,
weren't,
why
yeah.
am I in between you two?
Yeah.
You should be sitting next to one another like an old married couple.
Just throwing bows the whole time.
Pow.
All right, sweet. Joe, so how did you, well, let's kind of start from the beginning real quick. I did a Google search and I was like, holy shit, this is wild. Like your history, your background. We just like run through that real quick. Like what kind of got you into, like I said, you're from New Jersey. So
New York.
He said New York, man. Did you hear the accent come out when he's talking to the
He was
kids?
like, ah.
Where are you guys from?
I
New York.
immediately-
Oh, New York. Yo,
I
what's
immediately
up?
thought of The Office. He's like, hey, New York. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so from New York, so how did you, like, you went in 1985, correct? So
I went in the Navy in 1985. So,
God damn, that's when I was born.
it was 2 years before I was born.
Excuse me one sec. I have this for you. And you too.
Yeah, he's younger than me, man.
Yeah.
Both of you. All right? So what happened was my father had a really big boat, too big to pull out of the water. And we lived on Long Island in New York. And he couldn't get the zinc tab off the boat. He had some kind of a weird shutter. So he says, hey, go underwater, hold your breath, just go underwater and take the zinc tab off the bottom of the boat. And I'm like, Dad, I can't hold my breath. I can't hold my breath. I'm 10 years old. 10, right? We're talking 77, right? I'm a baby. He goes, all right, hold on, stay right there. While I'm in the water, he hangs this thing over my shoulders, no BC, a rack over my shoulder, weight belt around my waist, tank, double hose regulator. Wait. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
That's my
That was
entirety of my scuba diving lesson.
Intro to scuba.
So I'm sitting in a canal in New York
Yeah.
under my dad's boat, right? Doing commercial diving work at 10, right? Taking the zinc tab off, and I'm just like, this is amazing! You can see all the stuff in the canal, all the things that people threw in the canal.
Yeah.
So,
Probably found a couple dead bodies in there.
Yeah,
no
really.
dead
yeah.
bodies.
Back
But-
in New York.
Yeah.
No, I used to cut school to go dive in the canals in New York. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
So, and I was like, I joined the Navy in 85 because I needed to get out of New York. Not that New York is bad, but it's not my jam.
Yeah.
Right? Joined the Navy, and then the rest of that's history. 28 years later, I retired, and I know it took a big chunk out of that. What do you want to know about that?
What would you
Just
go
the
in?
28
Yeah,
years, no big
28,
deal.
no big deal.
Poof.
What did you go into? What was your job, your MOS? What kind of, because I was reading through, I was like, aeronautics or whatever it was.
So
I was like,
first I
nautical
started
stuff?
as a machinist, mate nuke. And then I was in Orlando, Florida. I wrecked my motorcycle on the East-West Expressway coming off of I-4. They found out I had eczema. I had bumps on my hands. And they're like, hey, you can't be a nuke with eczema. And I'm like, wait, but I have a contract. And they're like, oh, okay, you can have your choice of any school in the Navy. Long story short, I chose a rate that allowed me to get into a career sort of in diving. So it was a career that I was the guy that was taking care of all the electronics behind the place at Naval Submarine Medical Research Lab that had all the diving chambers there. The Genesis chamber, Captain George Bond. Back in the day when all these things were hot, that's where all the research was being done. So I learned a lot while I was there, and then I got commissioned. Got commissioned into the Special Operations Officer pipeline. I did 2 tours in Spec Ops, and I saw that was going nowhere, and I mean nowhere fast, because we were going to war and things were going badly, and there was no real leadership in that community, in my humble opinion. So I punched out of that to the engineering duty diver community, stayed, I think, 3 tours in that or 4 tours in that as an officer. They sent me to graduate school. So I get a choice. Hey, you're going to graduate school. What do you want? Like, you want to go to be a mechanical engineer? Do you want to go be an electrical engineer? Do you want to go be a chemical engineer? Do you want to go be an astronautical engineer? I'm like, wait, what was that last one? Like, astronautical engineer. I'm like, well, that sounds freaking cool. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, but that doesn't class up until later. He's like, I'm going to have to leave you in Hawaii for another year. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So I stayed in Hawaii another year, and then I went to postgraduate school. And then I get a call while I'm at postgraduate school for astronautical engineering by the guy who's in charge at Deep Submergence Unit. He goes, hey, I want you to relieve me. I said, okay. hey, come on down. So I went there and I relieved him at Deep Submergence Unit as the boss, and done. And then I went to SOCOM after that, and then they were like, okay, you've made it. You're going to DC. You're gonna be a guy. And I'm like, but my daughter, she graduate high school. Nah. And they're like, well, no, you just go up there and then leave your family here. And I'm like, at 27 years in the Navy at that point, you really want me to go transfer up to DC? Like, you don't care about me. Like, leave my family here while she's graduating high school? No. So I punched, and then that was it.
Oh, shit.
Now you got that check.
Yeah.
Check.
So what kind of so then afterwards, what you were like, what am I going to do? I mean, you have an entire list of shit, but like when you're getting out, like what was your plan getting out of the military?
My plan getting out was to go be a cool contractor, right? So I got like the offer for the coolest job in the world. I could sit in the same seat that I was at US SOCOM, doing the same job as a civilian, getting paid wonky dollars, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a little tired of, can I curse?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Suckling off the government tit.
Yeah.
I was like, 28 years, that's enough. I'm good. So I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to do something not that. So I'm helping one of my buddies move, and he's on Admiral Row right there at SOCOM, and Bill McCraven comes in because he's on Admiral Row, so he's helping him move. So there's a 4-star admiral, a 3-star general, and a 2-star admiral, and me helping the 2-star admiral move, right? So who's doing all the work? Right. McCraven's got a beer in his hand. The other guy's got a beer in his hand. The guy that's moving stuff it's his house, so he's helping me move. So it's me and him moving stuff. Okay. So we go there, and Bill's like, so what are you doing, Aquanaut? What are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't want to do this military thing anymore. But he's like, I could really use some help on the preservation of the force and family. So I looked into that. Join that Preservation of the Force and Family at SOCOM. That was a great gig. It's not paid, right? So it's volunteer, but you're volunteering with the people who are really trying to do. They're trying to take care of the kids, right?
Yeah.
So when I saw some of the stuff that was going on there with traumatic brain injury, so we announced that somebody has traumatic brain injury, and then they left him alone, and they were surprised that the guy shot himself in a hotel room. And I was like, you didn't see that coming? Like, I saw that coming, and I'm the dumbest guy in the room. So it's like, you take a tier 1 operator and you tell him he has a traumatic brain injury, he's no longer part of the solution. He's part of the problem. And he's like, right? So it's horrible. But they didn't see it. And all they want to do is talk about it. And I said, I'm done talking about shit. I'm going to fix this. So I went back to school. I got a PhD in biomedical engineering. And I said, I'm going to fix this. I'm too dumb to know that there is no fix for it. We're fixing it. We're helping, right? Yeah. Perfect is the enemy of good enough, right? It doesn't have to be a perfect fix. I just want to get these guys better. So that was what I did. And I started trying to do that and help with traumatic brain injury and help push people in the right direction. So we're trying.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's the things that we were talking about? You're developing kind of the decompression stuff with TBI and all that. Can you dive into
your hyperbaric?
Hyperbaric
so hyperbaric treatment. So hyperbaric treatment for a long time has increased cerebral blood flow. We know it increases cerebral. It's one of the mechanisms of action that it does. Yeah. So we know that for sure. So this is really interesting. So how much time do I have?
Yeah, about an hour or another 50 minutes.
All right. I'm going to try and get this story in, y'all, but it's a good story. All right. So there I was, 300 feet. No, I'm kidding. So I am fixing traumatic brain injury the way I always think to fix traumatic brain injury, with hyperbarics, just using hyperbarics alone, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, that's enough, right? So God kept telling me, hey, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And I'm like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Then finally, he threw a 6,000-pound SUV at me, this woman ran a stoplight at 9 o'clock in the morning, T-boned me in my 1947 Chevy with the wood in the back, pickup truck, Chevy C3100, totaled it, knocked me out. Wake up in the back of the ambulance like, hey, where am I? Who are you? They're like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I don't know, where am I? Right? Yeah. So get to the hospital, doc walks in, I have an 8mm hemorrhagic stroke and prefrontal cortex, so I have a really good traumatic brain injury. So I'm up in the ICU a couple of days and then in the hospital for another week after that, so yeah, okay. So I'm like, let me out, let me out, let me out. I know how to cure traumatic brain injury. I'm going to go to the chamber. It's not good enough. So I did that for like a month. It's not good enough. This happened September 7th, 2 years ago. September 7th, 2 years ago, by middle of October, I am in such a bad state of depression that I don't even know. Like when you get to that point of despotism, I was like, all right, so here's what's going to happen. If I'm not right, I'm trying to fix traumatic brain injury while I have traumatic brain injury. Trying to assemble the plane as I'm flying it, right? It's like, this is nuts. So I'm like, if this isn't fixed by December 8th, which is my birthday of that year, I says, I'm just going to take myself out of the equation. Now I finally see why guys take themselves out of the equation. They are part of the problem. So I would sit in my office and I'd cry. People would walk in and go home. Come on. Why aren't you, just chill, man. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm trying to fix this. Long story short, I decided to throw everything at the problem, right? Everything. When I say everything, I did every single thing at the same exact time, right? You take a plant and you go, hey, what's wrong with this plant? Somebody go, hey, it needs water. You go, hey, it needs food. Hey, it needs sunlight. Well, I get all those things, but I'm a researcher. So what research does, the biggest problem with research is they go, hey, listen, I'm going to expose this thing to 24 hours of sunlight because you think sunlight is the best. What happens when you expose a plant to 24 hours of sunlight? It freaking dies. Oh, okay. Sunlight kills plants. That's my, right? This is the way research is a problem, right? Do the same thing with water, do the same thing with food. It's a combination of all three of those things simultaneously in the right amounts, right? So I started doing hyperbarics. I started doing structural energetic therapy. I started doing massage therapy. Why massage therapy? I started doing physical therapy. The body keeps the score. So between the massage therapy and the physical therapy, I had been hit on this side. So this shoulder actually hurt. So it's like, but every time I went like that and it went pinch, it reminded me through the vagus nerve, hey, you have a traumatic brain injury. Hey, you have a traumatic brain injury. Hey, you have a traumatic. So if you don't address this, you're not going to fix this. So you got to do all this stuff at the same time. So hyperbarics twice a day, structural energetic therapy, physical therapy. I had a coach. I had a life coach that was pushing me through everything. I mean, I was taking BPC 157, body protection compound 157, trying to increase cerebral blood flow, synapsin. I was, like I said, I threw everything at it at the same time. And then I'm driving home one day and I saw ice, 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 $5. You've seen those signs, right?
Yeah,
So I'm like, if you get cold, you decrease peripheral perfusion, that has to increase cerebral perfusion. I'm gonna try that. Yeah. So I got 40 pounds of ice, I put it in my bath and I'd sit in there. And then I'd get out and I'd get in the hot shower and then I'd get back in the ice and then get back in the hot shower. I was like, oh, that works. So then I bought a, $14,000 ice forge. So I threw everything at the problem. And not only was I better before my birthday, by Thanksgiving time frame, I was so good that I had this program loosely sorted out. And then by the end of the year, I was sitting with a group of my friends, PhDs, MDs, real smart guys, and we're just sitting around the fire on December 28th. And like, hey, what do you want to change about next year? I said, I'm tired of going to funerals. He said, what do you want to change about it? And I says, why don't we do a program? And he's like, what's stopping you? And I'm like, only air and fear.
No.
And I'm like, damn it.
No excuse.
You got no excuse now. I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do a program. So we got together a football player and a military veteran, put them side by side. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, traumatic brain injury. No question, these guys were both jacked. The wife of the football player was like, I don't know what you did to my husband, but thank you for giving me my husband back. The military guy was like, you saved my life. And then, oh, by the way, let me just tell you something. I went out last weekend and I saved 3 people's lives when I was at this event. He was a medic. Some guy but some guy passed out due to heat stroke. He saved that guy's life. Then this guy was looking to kill himself. He intervened on that. And then this guy was having trouble, so he intervened on that. So it's a trickle effect. I help you, you help him, he helps them, and all of a sudden we got they told 2 friends and so on. So now we're on to the cure for traumatic brain injury, which is directly correlative to all this, right? It's the same pressure. The same pressure that I treat veterans at on a daily is the pressure that I'm at right now.
So how does that all
At
work?
20 feet?
Coincidence? I think not.
So you do the hyperbarics only, you don't do any crazy depths, just 20 feet?
As a matter of fact, we find that the better cerebral perfusion comes with less hyperbaric oxygen, because oxygen in and of itself is a vasoconstrictor. So the more oxygen you give, the more you get that vasoconstriction down, which means the less you actually deliver. Now, the mechanism of action of hyperbaric medicine is actually plasma transports sufficient amount of oxygen to support cellular respiration. So you don't need hemoglobin. You can like totally exsanguinate somebody, and the plasma will transport a sufficient amount to support cellular respiration. That's what makes it work. So in those ischemic places, in those really swollen places, in the places where the blood really doesn't flow very well, the plasma weeps in there. You know, like you get a cut on your knee, your leg, whatever, plasma will weep everywhere, right? And you'll be like, oh, okay, it's healing. That's what it's all about. That's why hyperbaric medicine works. So
what's the depths that you're going? Like I said, 20 feet or what?
20 feet.
How's the program?
That's crazy.
Like,
I would have
work?
thought.
Like, so a guy, like if I'm like, hey, I want to come in for TBI, like how do they come to you, and then what does that program like entail? Like I hear what you're saying is awesome, but I was like, I'm a layman, so it's like hyperbaric chamber, where do you go? You know, like all this stuff.
Well,
like
I happen to have a hyperbaric center, and people are like, you can't do that. I'm like, I can do anything I want. I own the center. I can do anything I want. So the first bunch was for free, right? Because I was like, I'm just doing it for free. And all the providers, I kind of strong-armed the providers. I'm like, hey, come here, doc, come here, doc, come here, doc, come here, doc. Like, we're all going to do this, and nobody's going to charge anything. And they're like, well, that's a stupid model. I'm like, yeah, but we're going to help people. And they're like, all right, well, let's try it.
Let's try it.
So I got an emergency room attending physician that was like fed the F up. He was done. He's like, I can't work with these people. They're morons. Like, you're the only smart one in the room. And I'm like, I'm not smart. I just know that I don't know anything, right? So he's like, I want to come on board. I want to do what you're doing. I want to help you. I'm like, okay. You know, physical therapists, cognitive behavioral therapists. I mean, you know, addressing physical, physiological, and psychological simultaneously. So we have an intake process. We bring them in, go through all what they're doing. And, you know, I get these guys out of the VA. I just got a guy out of the VA. 11 meds. 11.
Jesus.
No names, no nothing. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh, this makes you go to sleep. This makes you wake up. This helps you go to sleep in the middle of the night. This will help you with your afternoon mood problem at 3 o'clock, your 3 o'clock lull, right? I'm like, you don't need any of this bullshit. He's like, no. These are all really powerful, really strong meds. And that's the VA, right? They're going to give you meds, right? Yeah. Here you go. So
it's like the one thing they're good at.
It's pumping meds.
Here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want meds?
go.
They're all
Here's
covered.
some-
They're all free.
yeah,
They're all free. You
exactly.
can have all the meds you want.
Oh, yeah.
You want hyperbarics or you want chiropractic? No. We're not doing that.
You just poked the devil there.
So now, by the way, I'm not practicing medicine without a license. Actually, I have physicians that are doing all this with me, right? So we're working together as a group. I don't want you guys to think that I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do, all right? I don't want you guys telling on me either.
Going down to Joe's garage to get a hookup.
Yeah. So, you know, we're trying things that make sense. Yeah. You know, it's like, what is it going to hurt? Now, for instance, we do red light therapy at our place, right? Red light therapy is supposed to increase mitochondrial health. Yeah, there's some literature on it that's kind of weak. In my personal opinion, it's weak. Is it going to hurt you? No. Well, fucking lay on the red mat. Just lay on the red mat for 15 minutes a day. Is it going to hurt you? No. If it's not going to hurt you, just try it. Yeah. And then you do that in combination with this, in combination with that, with cerebral blood flow and this and this and this, and get in the ice bath. And by the time, like most guys get in the ice bath and they go, I can't get out, I gotta get out. 30 seconds later, they're like, I gotta get out. And then I show them how to breathe, I show them how to meditate, which is a big part of this, right? Because who's in charge?
You gotta break through that panic factor.
You gotta break through that panic factor, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is people breathe through here. This is sympathetic. This is parasympathetic. This is relax. This is let's get busy, right? This is, I'm in a fight. I'm breathing through my mouth. I want to chill. I'm breathing through my nose. So once you show people this, they start to chill out. Now all of a sudden they're like, I had a guy who stayed in 14 minutes. I'm like, okay.
You gotta get out now.
Look. You were supposed to get out at 10. And I told my staff, I said, this is not a dick measuring contest. Please don't let them do stupid stuff. They're all military guys. They're
14, I'll do 18.
I'll do 18 minutes.
You did 18, I'll do 45.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're like, I couldn't warm up for like 2 days. I was really cold and my thing went this big. I'm like, okay, well, you're stupid. So,
that's awesome. So how many guys have gone through the program so far?
So I have, my N is 9. Okay. Right now, my N is 9. So not a lot. Honestly, not a lot, but every single one of them has had profound differences. And when I say profound, a guy that was on 11 drugs stopped every drug like a week into the program. By a week into the program, he was totally off of everything. And he's like, do you have, he's talking to the other guy, the football player. He's like, do you have that metallic taste in your mouth? And the football player's like, no, why? And I'm like, oh, no. You need to be on charcoal now. Why? Because that's all of the toxins leaching out. All of that stuff from all the medicine leaching out. So we need something to absorb all that. So something to absorb all that. Now all of a sudden, this guy's off every bit of meds that he has. This guy still writes me. I asked that a bunch of people would send me pictures of the sunset because it's the one thing that I miss while I'm down here. That dude every night, like religion, sends me a picture because he's like, you're the man, you saved my life. You're the man, you saved my life. You're the man, you saved my life. I'm like, I didn't do anything. You did it, but you know, I appreciate that I could be given the opportunity to help. That cat is totally grateful.
So like that's all within a week, and then the program you said the overall is a month, or how long? Or
So the intake is a week.
Okay.
It's a week of testing, checking. You know, we got to do everything. So we draw blood. You know, we give peptides. I don't because I'm not allowed, right? That the MDs do. So they know. But you know, the MDs will look you over, pull your blood, find out what's wrong, find out where you're low, find out how to get it to the better part. And it's not a drug. A peptide's not a drug. A peptide is just teaching your body. It's a chain of amino acids. Is all a peptide is, right? So it's just training your body to do the things that it used to be able to do. So we do hyperbarics twice a day. And that's because we believe, Joe believes, that if you go off of hyperbarics and then back on hyperbarics and then back off hyperbarics in a short fused time, you induce something called hypoxic inducing factor, HIF or HIF1 alpha. If you upregulate and increase HIF1 alpha, you decrease or you increase brain-derived neurotropic factor. Brain-derived neurotropic factor is the lawn seed for making new synaptic pathways. Seems smart to me.
You're
then
using
waters
a
out.
whole lot of words. And
I
I'm
know,
just
yeah.
like, you're like a genius.
I'm not a genius. No. This is all.
And we would talk about the hyperbaric chamber. Is that the one with like you sit in the float in the water?
No, you are in a hyperbaric chamber right now.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't know why I was getting confused. I was like, wait a minute.
When you were down in Roatan, did we ever stop at Anthony's Key?
No, we didn't.
No?
We didn't check it out.
All right.
But that's what I thought.
They got a chamber there. I mean, it's a chamber.
Yeah, it's like a chamber.
They can regulate the pressure to a certain depth.
Yeah, he's been talking for like 20 minutes. I'm
This
like,
step.
oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, I think it's a tube with the way. Yeah.
Just think of
and, like,
something
I knew
like this
yeah.
in a much smaller capacity. Well, I mean, they have big ones too.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah, I've seen those before. I was just
they even
double
have
checking.
portable ones now too, I think.
They do.
Portable ones,
Yeah.
yep.
So is that something like, it's awesome you're talking about all these, like, I don't want to say alternate therapies, but like, now that we're like getting more and more into it, like you said, like even with like cold plunging, people talk about that. Have you like looked into that and more like, I don't want to say it's a trend because I know a
There's
lot
like cryotherapy. There's a whole bunch of cold,
going in and out, the heat shock therapy and going anything like. Have you guys tested any of that? Or I mean, like, what's kind of the science behind that?
I do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this program has grown. Like in the beginning, we didn't have the ice bath. I told people to go home and do the ice bath until I bought one. Until I made enough money that I bought one. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we can do that. Now we can add the peptides. Now we can do this. Now we can do the red light therapy. Boom, 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 boom. So as we do this, we're just growing the program and making it better and better and better without increasing the price because I don't care. I'm not in this to make money. This is not Joe Dituri making $1 million after he's retired. I'm retired.
Yeah.
So the only thing I want to do is put the mark on the map and move the damn needle. And when people see that we're moving the needle enough, they're going to be like, what the fuck are they doing over there? So you're saving lives. Wow, you got a lot of testimonials. Wow, you got a lot of one-offs. But realistically, this isn't real science because it's only one-offs, right? I got 9. So it's not like I have, you know, a phase 2D clinical trial is 420,000 people. Right? Like when we approved the, you know, the shot, the jab, 420,000 people is what you needed, right, to make it work, right? It's like, holy mackerel. We don't do that anymore. You know, I'm not doing that kind of science. So, but
where are you doing this out of?
Yeah, exactly.
The International Bank of Joe, right? So it's basically 701 Northwest Shore Boulevard, Tampa, Florida. And it's right by SOCOM, it's right by CENTCOM. I just own part of the building. And
are you seeing more guys coming from SOCOM and CENTCOM now? Like, I'd imagine you have 9, but the word getting out kind of like, because like I said, we lived through that era. We all did. Like, and over the last 10, 15 years, like guys that I've known gone to alternate therapies that worked out. we lived through that whole. I mean, that was a really bad era too in the early
Especially
2010s.
for TBIs.
Like
yeah.
TBI guys like off themselves, like opioids are being.
Well, it's coming back now too. Like we talked about, like this 15-year lull. Like all of a sudden, you know, I've had 2 friends that have killed themselves recently, and it's like they made it through 15 years. Yeah. What the hell's happening to kick this back? And it's really weird, you know. And like I told you, my anxiety. I didn't have anxiety ever, really, until last year. Yeah, and we were laying in bed at what 2 in the morning. You know, my wife and I had vets down, you know, for their therapy trip, and here's the instructor freaking the fuck out at 2 in the morning. And
you're like, calm down.
No, I like tap my wife. I'm like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
And she's like, shut up, you're fine. I'm like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're breathing right now, you're fine. I'm like, I can't feel my pulse. My heart's not beating. I have to go. So I fucking screamed to the clinic, right? And then the doctor's like, you're fine. You know, my vitals were perfect.
Yeah.
And she goes, do you have stress? And I was like, what kind of fucking stupid question is that? Do you have stress? Of course I have stress. Like, what does that have to do with it? She's pretty sure you're having an anxiety attack. I'm going to give you a shot. Who drove you here?
Yeah.
So I drove myself. And she goes, well, shit. Crank your air conditioner, turn up the radio, and drive home as fast as possible because you're going to go to sleep. And I'm like, only in Roatan. Like, you know, that would never happen in the United States, right? You would lose your empty room. So I'm flying home, you know, windows down, AC's cranking. I get home and just faceplant.
Yeah.
I meet the group the next day and I'm like, I had my first anxiety attack ever. Yeah. Like, and you know, I used to make fun of my buddies about like, oh, dude, don't be a bitch, man. Come on. Like, it's just anxiety. It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the worst thing I've ever, like,
well,
felt.
that's what happened to me when I was in Kuwait. I was in the guard for a little bit well after. We did a Kuwait trip, and it's total cake. Everything's good. And I'm in a meeting. I'm like, it's another stupid meeting, you know, like talking super chill. And I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? I felt like I was going to throw up. And then I'm like just getting hot. And I'm like, well, I drank water. You know, it's Kuwait, but it's like winter Kuwait. So it's not anything wild. And I just was like, I gotta leave the room. Like, I think, you know, and I'm just like, I'm gonna fucking pass out. Like, my heart jumps to the roof. And then for about a few months there, I was at the gym, it'd be done, cool. And then boom, they called an ambulance. And I'm like, I'm about to pass out. Like, I'm on the floor, my whole body goes into shock, everything. Oh. Yeah. And I'm talking like my wife and like the Lifetime Fitness people, like, I'm going into shock. I'm feeling it. I might go out. And they're just like, okay. And I just kind of breathe through it, but then they took all my vitals. They're like, you're good. And they're like, yeah, your sugar's a little low, but you just got done like deadlifting 20 minutes ago, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, and then I go to a doc and the same thing, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night for like 3 months, just like random.
And then you constantly, no, you're fine. It's like, I'm not fine. I'm not fine, you know. But again,
pretty far from
yeah,
exactly.
Well, we went to the one doc, and he was, you know, it wasn't anything crazy, but he was like, hey, well, let's put you 3 months on propranolol. And I'm like, why don't we do like 3 days and like get the blood pressure down? He's like, it's a good idea. I'm like, I'm the fucking enlisted. I'm not the doctor here.
I'm the knuckle dragger.
Yeah, I know. You're like, why?
Doing what?
Yeah, and so we did that, and it kind of leveled me out a little bit. But then, a few months, it took a little bit to get even keel out. But like, but then I did talk to him. He's like, well, what have you done? I was like, well, this is my 9th deployment. I've been shot, blown up, like legitimately, like taking rounds, and you know, been under infantry and all through the 05 and 05 all the way to 09 and a bunch of other stuff in Afghanistan. And so, you know, he was like, yeah, your nervous system's shot to shit, man. Like, and I'm like, well, I feel fine. He's like, well, you would, and then you're, you know, again, I'm the knuckle dragger.
Right, you just don't have a lot of reserve.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and you guys don't know how beneficial what you're doing right now is, because you need to let people know that this happens to big, strong, tough, cool guys like you. Because when it first happened to me, I was hiding that shit.
Yeah.
And I was doing some of this.
It was like a walk of shame, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you can't
nobody
admit
knows. If I don't tell anybody, it won't, you know.
Yeah.
No, you got to be like, look, this shit happens and it's okay. Yeah. You know why guys kill themselves 3-1 over women? Mm-hmm. Toughen up, buttercup.
Yeah, ego.
Here's a box of Harden Up, princess.
Well, what did you say earlier about, on your 27 year, we had toxic leadership, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and if you, I swear to God, if you raised your hand and said, I need to talk to someone.
The
amount of hazing and shit that would come
I couldn't even imagine.
Like, it was, I mean.
Exactly, And like I said, we bury that shit and like,
push it down, way down, deep.
Well, like even said infantry, when you do go to the VA, when you're ever, they're like, there's nothing on your record. I was like, yeah, because they told us never to go to medical.
Right.
Yeah. So we never went to medical where everyone's coming out there like, well,
otherwise
no
they'll take you off jump status or dive status or whatever.
Take water and change your fucking socks and suck it up. Like,
well, it's like, or they won't want you to deploy. It's like, that's why you join. And like, there's nothing, it's that weird double-edged sort of like, especially when you're younger, it's like, you're fucked up, but you're like, that was, to me, was the worst thing. It's like, don't tell me I can't go back with my guys. Like, that's...
Oh, that would be the thing that kills it. Like, you're going to tell me I can't dive?
Oh, no. Yeah. And then, like, you got guys that I know that were operators, and they are in their, we've been out the game for a while, but, like, I understand when they're in their 12th, 15th year, like, especially tier 1
decades,
they stay, the decades, and then tell them at their 17th year, you're done. It's that's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, yeah. I'm done being with Bill, John, Frank, Harry, all my boys, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's the one thing that I truly miss about being in the military is freaking the guys.
Your crew.
It's the boys. I'd be like, hey, man, what's up?
Every day.
That was why going and working at SOCOM would have been so appealing, but I was like, I can't keep doing this. I just can't. I gotta do
the amount of bullshit, the politics, and everything else that comes with it, especially if you're working in one of the leadership positions, it's just, it immediately takes that vanity of, I'm going to be back with the boys, and it's like, well, I will, but I'm going to be dealing with all the bullshit.
Yeah. Well, especially at that level. Like, I was at division headquarters, and it's a national guardian, but you're still, I was, commanding generals and all of a sudden, and majors and captains, officers. There's more captains.
Come on, it's not just the officers that are bad. Come on, we were all right. Some of us were all right.
But you're in a sandwich here. You got two enlisted. You're the only commissioner.
Oh, that's a sandwich. Can I order a different kind of sandwich?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you get to that point, though. You get to that level, though. I mean, that's where the politics comes to play. That's when all the, like I said, it sucks.
100%.
Can you imagine how bad it is now, though? Like,
there's no war going on.
Well, you've got they basically forced every combat vet out, right? Yeah. I mean I mean, just look at the. I don't want to make it political.
Yeah, I was going to say, do not get political. We will lose audience.
Yeah. Well, how you do it? So you got your spot then right outside of SOCOM and CENTCOM, like. Now the word's starting to get out slowly. I mean, so you said this was 2021 or 2020 that you started firing this up, or 2022?
2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago I started firing it up. So it was September of 2021 when it happened.
Okay.
Right? So by December of 2021, I was ready to rock and roll. We put 9 people through the program. Now that doesn't mean, like, I think I have another 16 that are in program right now.
Okay.
And another 2 that start in May, I think, for sure. I'm trying to remember.
Yep.
But, so we have a bunch of people that are in program right now. So our numbers are climbing for sure. Now, you got to fund all this, right?
Yeah.
So I hate to be that guy, but I had to start paying people. So I had to start charging people. So it was like, if I can get the football player to pay a little more, the military guy to pay a little less, maybe they can kind of even themselves out. So we're working on that. And I mean, not that, but anybody that has a little bit of money, if they contribute, that's great, So
do you have a 501c3? Do you have like a nonprofit that you can take donations from?
I have a couple of nonprofits that do send people my way. However, it's really hard when they want to dictate the terms. When the nonprofit wants to dictate the terms, I'm like, listen, here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you want to give a person to us, we'll treat him however we see fit, doctor-wise, right? So when you go to Evil Medical College, then and only then can you become a person that, right? Dictate. Like, I can't prescribe. Like, I'll huddle with the docs and we'll talk story, but I don't prescribe anything, right? The doctor does. So when you're mad at me that I'm not doing what your program says to do, it's because I'm moving at the speed of innovation. Like, we're changing stuff on a daily. On a daily. When the person doesn't respond well, we change. We figure it. The one truism of your entire human existence is the human body likes change. Always. That's why cold therapy works. That's why going in the heat works. So a little bit of cold, a little bit of hot. A little bit of, keto and a little bit of carbs, a little bit of blondes, a little bit of brunettes. I don't know, whatever. You're gonna do something. Sorry, no offense.
I'm a blonde man. Sorry.
Yeah, my wife will appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. I'll get choked, but that's okay. She will choke me right out.
So do you see? Because going down this rabbit hole, I mean, like, I should say rabbit hole, but like, especially now that the information's more and more out there, like, even I've come across it. Like, I was talking about the training I might be coming through, and then just in generalities more with your health, and not to bring up Joe Rogan, but that's always a key factor. Like Merrick Health, one of the guys we knew was going through Merrick Health, was like blood panels, the ways to wells. It's more an alternate to like going to your doc, because even I talked with my wife and I was like, hey, I got to go to the doc. Like I need to get my blood panel. It's been a while since I had a physical.
Why?
What's that?
Yeah, why?
Why? To go get a primary. But that being said though, I wanted to go get the blood panels through Merrick and these other places. And she's like, well, how much? I was like, I don't care. It's like $300-400, but they do the full panel. And I'd like to see what's going on.
Cytokine panel, methylation panel.
Like
where are you on
gamut.
this? Where are you on that?
And she was like, go ask the doctor. I was like, he will not give. I was like, I guarantee he won't let me. He'll be like, oh yeah, I guarantee he won't give a script for it. Like 100%, I know he won't.
So to that, and in the nonprofit sphere, obviously, I'm the president of one, and I understand that dictation is a nightmare. I am not one of those people to dictate. One of the things.
Hi, my name's Joe.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. So Joe and I have talked.
Let's fix people.
Yeah. So my thing of why I started Warfighter Scuba was I was sick of the bullshit. Right. I did nothing like what Ethan did. Ethan is a fucking god in combat compared to anything that I even came close to seeing. So we're not on equal levels, but I saw people like Ethan, I saw my friends that saw traumatic combat kill themselves. They keep going to the VA and getting nothing. Yeah. It's like, well, fuck, this is stupid. Like, I'm not going to sit here and continue to accept an excuse from myself to not do something. And the cool thing that I got when I moved to Roatan, selfishly, there was no nonprofit behind it. I will admit that on camera.
Look at that smile on her. She's like, whoa.
I was a raging alcoholic, and my first year in Roatan,
that's just
I was a very successful alcoholic. Let's just say that. I was drunk by 10 in the morning every day, didn't give a shit. However, I started diving again.
Yeah.
And that's what started unscrewing my head. I started realizing that the pressure helps, that the quiet helps, that being sucked into the present moment helps, which is why we started Warfighter Scuba. And then after we got put in touch, which is why we're down here now, and it's freaking awesome. It's been a dream come true. I've wanted to be down here since I was 12. So thank you for allowing us to come.
I YouTubed it like a week ago, so I'm really excited. Last week, it's awesome.
Well, well, you're welcome. Like, getting thrown into all sorts of cool stuff. I would love to be able to send our vets to you. Maybe because you're saying you do like a weekend doc, right?
Yeah, weekend doc, so a month-long program, and
if
then
they're
a week
with us, you can dictate to me what I need to look for on potential candidates.
100%.
And I can send them to you for immediate follow-up, and we can really start changing some lives, because we have over 300 veterans on a waiting list.
Oh.
So I'm not
Where
saying
are you stationed?
Well,
station, wrong word.
We operate out of Roatan. We are US 501c3, so donations can be made at warfighterscuba.org.
At warfighterscuba.org.
Yeah.
We don't have all the money in the world. We're trying to fix that. We have exposed some things going on with VA grants and stuff that are going to be getting in front of some senators. But, my problem is I know what we do helps, but it's a small piece.
Right.
While you're diving, it helps.
Right.
But you can't dive 365. I guess you could, but that's a lot of dinero.
Right.
But I want something that they can maybe taste it with us, and then they go down to you and get the full shebang, and like the guy you got off 11 meds. That's what I want to see. I have a friend. I don't want to say his name, in case he gets mad at it, but I've helped stop him from killing himself, suicide by cop twice. He got blown off a mountain in Afghanistan by an RPG. So he didn't, no shrapnel, nothing, right? Yeah. It took his entire platoon writing a letter stating that happened because the VA refused to acknowledge that his TBI was service related. So they gave him nothing. He constantly asked for help, asked for help.
Yeah.
Now the problem with him is I can't bring him to Roatan because of his addiction issues, because he will run off into Central America and never be heard from again.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, right? So, I know scuba will help him. He tried it in California. He fell in love with it. He was like, oh my God, when I'm underwater, everything is perfect.
Yeah.
I said, I know, man, give me 6 months sober and I'll have you down. Like 6 months. And he just can't do it. So I want to send him to you because I think he would be a perfect candidate. He fell like 40 feet, knocked out cold,
Yeah.
And the VA was like, nope, not service related. Sorry.
Yep.
No, I totally get you, but I'm the same as you. So like you have to have buy-in, right? Because I can't give a shit about your health more than you give a shit about your health, right? Yep. So you got to have buy-in. You got to drink a gallon of water a day. You got to commit to walking. So all I ask you to do is walk for 30 minutes a day, every day during the program. Take your sleep meds, take your sleep stuff that I give you. They're not meds, but lay in bed for 8 hours a night. That means no TV, no phone, no computer, nothing near you, and lay in bed. And when you decide that you're going to lay in bed and you already committed to laying in bed, just don't get up. So you just got to do stuff. So if you got that buy-in, but one of those buy-ins is I need you to not be on drugs.
No booze or alcohol.
No booze or alcohol, nothing, no drugs, I don't want you on pot.
How long do you need sober before?
I don't need you sober beforehand. Look.
Oh, just to commit to it while you're there.
You're a grown man. You're a grown man or woman, right? And women too. I mean, I've seen a lot of women. Yeah. Oh God. And they get it really bad because they're just trying to toughen up, Buttercup, right? So they're trying to
get what we have, but
they get what we have. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, but if they can commit to that entire program, they will see gains in real short order. The problem that I always have is the first weekend, because the first weekend that,
you're still getting pulled.
You're still getting pulled, right? But the second weekend, you're feeling the gains, right? And you're like, damn, I'm going to go for a hike this weekend. Meanwhile, this guy hadn't been in the gym, hadn't done a damn thing in 6 years, right? Now he's working out.
Is that something that you've seen, like, within social media and then podcasting information getting more and more out there? Or maybe it's just because of the stuff that I follow, but like all these things, like I've started to apply in the last like year or two of like getting your sleep. Now, granted, I have a daughter, so we're done.
No sleep.
There's no sleep. Or it's just like we go to bed at 9 no matter what because she gets up at 6 or 7, and I've seen a lot of those health benefits too. Like my drinking has gone way down. Like, like especially compared to like the early years.
When you're in your 20s?
Yeah, no offense, but my drinking down here is 0, no alcohol in this place.
Well, we've talked about like going warfire scuba. That's why I love going down with the org is we dove 4 times a day, which is exhausting. But then we're all in bed by 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Yeah.
I don't do 4 a day.
Yeah, we did 4 a day.
I wouldn't show up the following day.
But the thing is, though, we don't drink on those.
No, we have a strict no alcohol, no drug policy, right? Because drinking and diving is extremely dangerous. I mean, you just don't do it.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Yeah. But with our culture, unfortunately, drinking is something that has been significantly prevalent.
Yeah.
I mean,
detoxing too. Like even if it's like I have like one drink or whatever a week, but it's like going for the 1 week, being like awesome, like. You just feel like way better at the end of it, and you're exhausted. You're training, like
The amount of vets that come down. I mean, I shouldn't say the amount. I get vets. It's like either way, right? I get vets, and they show up, and they're like, "Oh man, I needed this so bad." I'm like, "You needed what?" And they're like, "A week off of booze." I'm like, "All right, that's cool, man."
That's fair.
Hey, as long as you can stick to that here, and it's like, I mean, do you hit it hard every night? It's like, oh yeah, like every night I hit it hard. And so this is like I can detox for a week, and it's great, I don't have to worry about somebody like being, oh, come on, man, don't be a bitch. Let's have a beer. Like, you're not going to get that with us because we're not going to put you into anything toxic that can hurt you or kill you or be bad dive practice, for God's sakes. Yeah. Even though if you go on scuba trips, typically the drinking is pretty heavy, and it's kind of counterintuitive if you think about it. There's a lot of heavy smoking and drinking. And
weird, right?
Right. It's very weird, but... and then you get the other vets that there's a couple that have come through that are still sober to this day, which is, me being sober because of my issues. It's not what I try and push, but it's awesome to see people take that and realize
100%.
I don't need booze to have fun anymore. Because when I was in the Marine Corps, that was all I cared about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we're not in the field? Let's get fucked up, man. Let's go have some fun.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's something too, bringing all this stuff, like, especially with, like the booze aspect, like I want to say it's a trend thing, but you're seeing it going through in a good way on social media, which is a double-edged sword. But a lot of people are going on like the no boozing for a month. Really? Yeah, it's a trend. Like it's no legit. I don't know if you listen to like Huberman Labs. No. He's a PhD, kind of does the same stuff that you're doing, but he's like released podcasts, like very prominent people are just like, I just don't booze. And it's like, well, I could have Yeah, I mean, you know,
So
but he's doing the science behind it, kind of like what you're doing. It's the science behind why do you feel better not drinking booze? You know what I mean? For a week,
your body's functioning without a toxin.
Yeah, exactly.
My body's like, oh, boy, I feel good.
And he's just putting it out there for people, like, you know, it does this, this, and this. People are like, Jesus Christ. And you're starting to see like people. Like in social media, just being like, you know what, I'm going to take a year off, or a week off, or
and not for
30
nothing,
days
but
off. You know,
there is no answer at the bottom of that bottle.
Yeah.
I have looked.
Oh yeah,
it's not there.
There's more problems.
Yeah,
like,
I've looked in all the bottles.
Yeah.
It's not at the bottom of the bottle.
The funniest thing, like that Don and I have noticed, you know, ever since we quit drinking 6 years ago, media, man, like it's pushed so subliminally in every TV show.
Oh yeah.
In every it's like. Oh, I had a stressful day. I'm gonna crack a beer. You know.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I had a stressful day. I need a glass of wine. And
Right.
And we start laughing every time. You know, before it was smoking cigarettes, right? Like smoke,
cool,
right? For kids, and now it's the same thing with alcohol. You know, it's
yeah.
I don't know.
Control.
Right.
But that's what's cool though. Like see with this therapy that you're doing in the hyperbaric chambers, like, you know, where you're seeing all these things coming up, and it's not being shunned as like some weird, you know, crunchy, you know, California mom hippie, like, oh, go to the hyperbaric chamber and do this. Like, you're doing real science behind it, you know, or like, you know, oh, there is, you know, because
there's a lot of them that do that.
Oh, there's what I'm saying is like,
you just lost every California mom. They're going to kick you right in the nuts.
But I'm saying is like, you know, you go back into the 2000s and be like, hey, let's do this therapy. Like, are you high? Like, that's crazy. But now, things that are now becoming more mainstream, that people are like, yeah, it's not that good. Crazy. It's good stuff. Like scuba diving as a therapy. Like, mention that 10 years ago, or even 50. People are like,
still mention it.
You know, like it's that weird.
You still mention it to some people, depending on what industry they might be in. You know, starts with a P, PH, pharma. You know, pharma. They still tell you that you're on crack, and what you're doing is dangerous. Because I've literally had my ass chewed numerous times.
By whom?
I'm not going to name names, but they were in the pharmaceutical industry, and they said that trying to work on getting vets off their meds is playing a dangerous game that's going to get people killed.
Yeah.
And I asked why, and they have no answer for it. Yeah. They just said that what we're doing is dangerous. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's a recreational sport. Like, yes, there's dangers to it, but it's no more dangerous than walking across the damn street. I'd probably get killed by a car way before unless I break the, safe diving standards. But
right. Let's agree that we're not going to do anything moronic.
Right.
Otherwise,
which I wouldn't be able to do if I was still drinking. I mean, trust me, there would be a huge moron factor there. I wouldn't be.
No, I mean, so like little stuff, the science behind diving, right? Yeah. So here we are at 1.3 partial pressure, right? So the ATA, so 1.3. So that's effectively 10 feet of seawater. Mm-hmm. When you're at 10 feet of seawater for 1 hour a day, for 5 days a week in a row, boom, 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 right? You double the number of circulating stem cells.
Really?
That's why everybody feels great after the week. You do 4 dives a week or 4 dives a day.
What are stem cells for? Oh, that's right. They're the building block and the thing that you use to repair your body.
Yeah.
What else happens? Collagen synthesis.
You didn't tell me that. He did.
Okay, listen.
He told me that.
This is why we're here, right? I didn't know that. I'm an instructor.
I just feel good.
I'm actually a master instructor.
He told me why I feel good.
Listen, I'm a master instructor, and I didn't know that. He's blown my mind, but now I have an answer for why all of you at the end of the week tell me you haven't felt this good ever.
Right, because the number of circulating stem cells is doubled.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that's science.
An amazing fact.
There's a freaking
incredible.
scientific paper that came out on that. Now, does it happen for everybody? Geez, I have no idea. I didn't do the experiment on everybody, but the guy did, and he did the flow cytometry right. I mean, he did the stem cell checks the right way, and it's really good science. So now, is it 100% slam dunk? No, but let's just say it only 1.5 sure stem cells. Because we're being ridiculous.
Well, if you went to 1-to-1, I feel pretty good at 1-to-1 would be pretty sweet.
Right?
You're still in a positive production.
But now with the sciences, there's something like in a marketing ploy, not even a ploy, but a marketing to scuba. I mean, is that something that you guys even remotely approach to like?
That's what you were talking about earlier,
like
right?
To these companies that'd be like, hey, this is like something maybe you want to sell the next piece of kit. Why don't we throw some cash at?
Were you in here when we first came in and he was he's like doubled the scuba marketing in the last 12 days that from a decade ago.
Yeah.
Just from what he's doing.
In the last 10 years. I literally have had several people email me, call me, tell me that what we're doing is good. But that's not what I'm trying to do.
No, I agree with that. But
all
I'm saying
I'm trying to do is, do what I'm doing, which is the three-sided coin, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to get these kids interested in what we're doing and get them interested in solving the problem. Because guess what? I don't know about you guys, but we're old. I'm old, right? So
yeah, you're oldest. I'm older. He's the baby.
yeah,
he's still a
I
boot.
just turned 36 on the way down.
oh, good
Still a
Lord.
little boot.
I remember 36.
Yeah.
20
you're
years
still
ago.
in. Yeah.
But using scuba as an intro for these kids would be, I mean, that's when I fell in love with it.
100%.
When I was 12.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I was
100%.
on a snorkel or we went to Catalina Island, 6th grade field trip.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So
Wrigley Island.
Yeah,
I
we
know
dissected squid, you know, all this stuff. And I was with my dad. He was one of the chaperones, and we're snorkeling. We're freezing our ass off. In the, oh my God, it was miserable. But I saw scuba divers below us, and I told my dad, I was like, I want to do that. To give my dad credit, we did it at 12 years old. I got certified, you know, and it changed my life. It really did. I mean, learning that, like, it gave me. I wanted to be like an oceanographer. I wanted to be a marine biologist. Like, I wanted to be in the ocean. Did I follow through with that? No.
That's right.
No. I joined the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
It's close enough. It's got marine in it, right?
Marine biology,
Marine
Corps.
Might be the right way. I'll take this path.
You know, now mid to late 30s, getting back into the diving and helping, that could be a huge, you know, thing to get kids involved in this, which is what you're trying to do.
So what kind of, like, I know it's a controversial, but like going into, you know, obviously head to head with pharmaceutical companies and even with like regular doctors, what typically, if you were to say here's the paper that shows that it works. Now even then people still deny, you know, or like whatever.
If you don't have a triple blind study.
Yeah, exactly. Like what at what point you're like, hey, this is the amount of people, this does work across this scale. Like what is that number of people? Like how many years? Like say in the scientific community that they're like, yeah, this is a thing that we, you know, like say even the VA be like, undeniable, but something that would at least get them to like, hey, what's
probably a check with some zeros behind it.
You don't want to know. Yeah. You don't want to know because I mean, I will tell you, but the problem is the burden is too high, right?
It's a lot. Yeah.
Insurance drives all of this.
Yeah.
Insurance companies are practicing medicine without a license. People tell me I practice medicine. That's not the case. Insurance companies will tell you, you can't do that. A doctor, a guy that went to evil medical college, he can't write that prescription because it's not covered by insurance.
Look at what happened the past 3 years for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Doctors were shunned if they ever said
anything. If you say something about COVID, oh, you're shunned. No, wrong. That's not the way this works, right? Smart wins the day. That's the bottom line. Smart wins the day. So what happens is every insurance is a zero loss, right? Zero sum gain, right? They will not lose a dime because they are profitable. They have to remain profitable, otherwise their stockholders are going to get pissed at them. Okay, so does that mean that I'm going to bring you in and I'm going to treat you? No. What it means is that I'm going to give you the aggregate for the insurance, and if all that adds up to more than the other person, then I'm going to try and cheat this person out, give this person a little less, or give that guy a little less so that I still make money even though I paid a little more for you. But even if hyperbarics worked 100% and we said, this is 100% success rate, guaranteed, or any of these therapies, 100% success rate, they would go, okay. They go before this panel, and the panel goes, okay, let's see what cost is involved. This is $1 billion for hyperbarics. Okay, where do we take $1 billion out? Oh, broken arms are $1 billion. Okay, so we're never going to cover a broken arm again, but now we're going to treat people in hyperbarics for TBI. That's the way it goes. You don't have to like it, but that's the answer. That's what they do. Now, what's happening now is that people are getting smarter. And people going, insurance companies? Yeah, I'm not doing
well, that's what I say. I think that's the social media aspect, or at least just the information. Well, the informational flow is so much.
There's an overflow.
More.
Like you can actually reach out.
Exactly.
Listen to people like Joe Rogan or
Human Labs.
Yeah,
Human Labs
or Russell Brand, who are trying. They have the huge platforms, and they're using it to introduce people to the bullshit that has been considered normal. You know, and that's what you're breaking. Yeah. You're being told, Joe's the one that's prescribing whatever, when he's doing everything the right way. Yeah. But he's the face of evil for all of that because he's actually making a change.
See,
because you can't make profit if you fix it, right? Like,
oh yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. Their job is not to fix you, because then they will no longer have a customer. So my job, and this is what I tell people all the time, I don't want the model where you have to keep coming back to me next week or 2 weeks or a month from now or a year from now. I don't want to see you once every 6 months just to check you up. I want to cure you, and then I want to see you in the mall and be like, dude, thank you. Be a high five. All right, hey man, let's get a coffee sometime. That's the next time I want to see you. But doctor types don't get that, because they just want, the recurring model is where the money comes from, and the relative value units and filling out the paperwork. I mean, forget it. It's not worth it.
It was kind of crazy too, because with the veterans aspect of it, because we've been dealing it for the last 10, like I said, 10, 15 years, ever since, we were getting on Facebook groups and then be like, hey man, this isn't working. I'm going to the VA, and a lot of guys, this was before, like, weed, legal marijuana, legalization of marijuana. Like, but guys were like, I'm getting off this and I don't care if it's illegal, because I'm not taking these pills anymore. And I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Like, so you kind of started seeing that ball start to roll.
But you're substituting one for another.
Exactly, A for B.
Don't do that.
And so you're doing a lesser, but a lot of guys that help them, and obviously they're still moving in the right direction, but it's at least getting them off.
If it's a starting point, I think I agree with you. It's great, but usually what happens is it turns into the same thing that booze is, and they do more and more and more, and they think that it betters them, but you're still, I don't know, you're stuffing down the problem instead of fixing it.
Is that something you've seen? Like, have you done any stuff on like the ayahuasca, or looked into looked at that type of, like, everyone's talking about that. I've known guys to go down. We know guys have gone down, and it helps them. But I mean,
what do you, though?
I don't know. Like, hey, I've never done it, so I know guys.
But those guys, has it really helped them?
I don't know. They say it did. But you're hearing more and more about it. I mean, like, more and more, like, people are fundraising. They're like, hey, we want to send guys down to Mexico to do a bunch of shaman stuff, and they're like taking
to me,
ayahuasca.
It just seems like a new shiny object. Like, oh, you can go down and have a guided trip that helps you. Yeah. But some of these people that have gone down there, they're not doing too hot right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you look at their lives and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done it, but it's, to me, again, it's A to B. It's not it's not something that sticks. Like, it might help you get through some past trauma, but does that trauma come right back after 3 months or whatever?
I opine that if you are replacing anything A for B, it's not going to help you how you think it's going to help you, right? So, if you're just trying to go down and get high, don't bother. It's not that good, right? First thing. Second thing is, if you got to be willing to do the damn work. This is why I make people have a buy-in when they come to me. You got to do this. And it's going to be hard. It's going to suck like the Knicks, but you got to go do it, right? So, I'm sorry.
You dropped that so casually.
I know, just like right in there,
And he's from New York.
No, it's awesome. No, it's great. It's great.
I'm from New York, actually.
No, it's great to like I said, to hear this from you. I mean, especially and then seeing the studies that you're doing and like the stuff that's out there. Like I said, people are just trying to find different solutions other than popping pills.
It's good.
And having the doctor.
There is no easy solution. The only easy day was yesterday, and you better start getting to work, because you're the only. If I care more about your health, you're never going to get better. Right? You got to care more about your health. You got to do what you're going to do. You got to read the pamphlets. You got to figure stuff out. Nobody's going to come and walk and hold your hand through.
Well, even if we did
a trip,
it's not going to stick.
Then you're going to go take a trip down to Mexico, and you're going to be like, "Woo, I saw God and Jesus and a four-legged gecko with whatever, and that was great." And then you're going to go back, and your problems are still going to be staring in the friggin' mirror. So your problem is you. You don't like that, but your problem is you. My problem was me.
That's the hardest thing to admit. Once you can admit it, then you can start doing the work.
Now start doing the work.
But your ego is fucking public enemy number one, you know? 100%. And you see that in the Type A military community. That's all there is freaking ego.
Like, you don't know. Hold on. Hold on. How about you?
No, I know. Like I said, that's what's. It's like awesome here. Like I said, hearing your opinion on it and seeing what guys trying to find a way out, or trying to, or not find a way out, but finding a solution, like a permanent solution,
fixing it.
Fixing
it.
Actually
fixing it. That's so. When I told you about him, and we're excited to come down here. I told you this is gonna be a great conversation.
No, I know this is great. This is awesome.
Killer
because I'm learning a ton. Right? Yeah, this is amazing.
I learned how to explain to every single vet now that your stem cells increase after a week of diving with warfighter scuba.
Yeah, they double. That's true.
Well, I'll say 1.5. I'll say 1.5 just to be safe.
Love the flag.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this is a present for Joe down here. It'll keep him company.
Loving it.
So if guys do want to kind of find you and,
Dr. Deep Sea.
Dr. Deep Sea.
Just so all my socials pretty much Dr. Deep Sea. My YouTube page is Dr. Deep Sea, or look up hbotampa.com for the traumatic brain injury stuff, and we'll hit it. But you'll find me. Just Google Joe Dituri or Dr. Deep Sea, and you'll see something. Geez, we were on Saturday Night Live last night or 2 nights ago. Really? Did you not see it?
No.
We live in Roatan. All right. Damn it.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I know.
You're killing me.
I'm ruining the shot.
We were on Saturday Night Live. So the guy goes, a man wants to stay underwater for 100 days. That's a new world record. But the people from New Orleans claim that that's not a long time at all.
Oh, that was the
I was like, oh my God, that's so bad. Right? He didn't mention by name or anything like that. But
so you weren't on like camera? I thought.
No.
That's awesome. You got to do a joke at SNL.
No, man, we got. Last week I did, this past week I interviewed with Time Magazine. I interviewed with NPR, did a story on us, All Things Considered, which is the only thing I watch on NPR. Yeah. I was like, damn, this is cool, right? So like a whole bunch of media outlets.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. So you are, I don't want to say the attention, but you are getting bigger news organizations and magazine publications.
Oh yeah, CNN, ABC, Fox, all over it like a bum on a biscuit.
Yeah.
Really?
That's awesome. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, like,
it's very good to hear because you're actually doing something.
Well, you're trying to get the word out too, as well. Yeah. Like, and that's, as much as you want to say legacy media or that older stuff, it's still like, that's great that they're at least like, you're getting recognized at that point. I mean,
but once again,
you want to know the thing I like about him the most? The first thing that he told me when we started talking, I was going on scuba radio or whatever. You're like, tell them why I'm doing this. It's not about the world record. Oh, yeah. It's not about me. It's not about me doing this. It's about what we can find from this. It's about the next generation that can take over. It's about, and I was like, man, I like you. Like that. Yeah. There's no ego here. There's no, it's not the Joe Dituri show. It's the Joe's finding a fucking solution
That's
show.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
And it shouldn't be. Like you think that I'm the only one that's running this thing, that's keeping it alive? Right. I do nothing. I sit here, I eat, I talk to people, and somebody brings me food and somebody shuttles people down to me. Yeah. I can't do this without all the friggin' help upstairs. No, I just see that all the time, like these me stars. Like, hey, hold on, let me get my better side.
That's the age of social media.
But it's not. There's nothing there. Yeah. That is so hollow. And then when you go to bed at night and nobody tells you you're pretty, you're pretty. Nobody's telling you you're pretty. You're like, I hate myself. I'm ugly. Like, I don't give a shit what you think about me. How's that? Right? No, I had Boy Scouts down here. You guys tagged high five the Boy Scouts, right? And the guy's like, you got any advice? And I'm like, you really want it? I'm like, yeah.
We'll drop some truth on you.
Okay, I'm going to drop some truth on you. Here's the deal. You have a judge inside you.
Yep.
And he judges you all the time, boys. Second. Every day. Early and often. Tell that judge to fuck right off.
Yep.
Right now. Start now. Because here I am. I finished a 28-year career in the Navy as a commander. Now, I can't even believe I made E5, much less O5. So, fuck. I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. Things worked out, thank God. Right? I retired. Like, that's a good enough. You could retire and be done, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go back to school and get a PhD in biomedical engineering. I'm going to fix this, right? And then I'm sitting in the bar looking for the answer at the bottom of the bottle with a fucking PhD. Now I think I got, and I'm like, I got to go to medical school. I'm going to go to medical. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go. And I'm like, you're enough. Stop it. You have to stop judging yourself. Stop living up to dad or mom or your sister or your brother or whatever you think you should look like. Yeah. Guess what, man? I have blue eyes and sort of blondish red kind of sort of hair. That's it. That's what I got. So when life gives you lemons, don't make fucking lemonade. Learn to like fucking lemons because that's what you got. You have lemons. Just learn to like them. Learn to love yourself. And once you do that, fuck, man, this thing is like turnkey. It's like, oh, it's that easy. No. Yeah, it's that easy. So you just got to chill the hell out. And those kids were like, Really?
It's not what TikTok tells me I gotta do.
Yeah, exactly.
My phone, this thing, this is all I gotta freaking worry
We'll
about.
put that on TikTok and Reels. That little clip. Then we'll put it out there.
You know what?
We'll put that clip right on TikTok and Reels.
I do not. There's no fucking TikTok on this.
I know.
And my board of directors is constantly, hey, should we be on TikTok? No. No. I am the president. No, that's the one thing. And it's just one board director.
I had an Instagram influencer down here, and she is sold that is the way to populate things.
TikTok?
To get word out.
It is.
I swear to God.
I know.
I was like,
China's buying, man. It's directly related
Believe
to
me,
the Communist Party.
Yeah, it is. It's
really,
yeah,
really, and they don't know that. They don't know about you. They do not know who you are.
I know these
like,
fingerprints.
Really, what are they finding out?
Is
there something? Yeah. Is there something that they're? Oh no, it's the same thing, right? It's like, what are you hiding from them? Stuff that
I don't know.
It's like James Bond
maybe
says.
It's my ego just trying to give one little middle finger to China. I don't know. Like it matters, but hey, every movement starts small, right?
You can't argue with billions of people, man. So this is going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue, but. Politics is.
But their algorithm doesn't even push good stuff anyway, so we'd have to do something.
Oh no, you see more.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So we would be at the bottom of the barrel anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I agree with you. I'm not a fan of it. It's huge. I have clients. They're like, yeah, it's TikTok. It sucks. Like I don't know what to tell you. We make social media reels. We do all that. That's just the way. That's the name of the beast.
I wish we could go back in time, like when these didn't even exist, or maybe to like the Motorola StarTAC flip phone. You remember those things?
Yeah.
Extendable. Yeah.
What
no
did
email
we do?
on it.
What did we do before this? Because so I'm down here, and the only thing that's
we did this.
Right, we did when we talked, right? Yeah, it's interesting because not one of you checked your fucking phones the entire time. I'm like, holy man, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Like nobody's saying, look up at the pressure gauge. That's all you got. Nothing really moves.
That is okay. I can't really see it.
That's a pressure gauge. The bone crushing depth of 22 feet.
Well, now I can argue this with all the knuckleheads that are like, I got to go deeper. Like, now you only need 20 feet.
No, actually, quite the contrary.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go deeper.
Again, type A, military, egos.
Right. More is better. More is better. No, you don't understand.
I need like fishing rods underwater to reel them back because it's like herding cats, man. I mean, the second we get underwater, my dive brief just goes to nothing. And it's like,
yeah.
I'm just banging.
Don't you remember we briefed that you shouldn't go do?
Right.
Oh, and you did exactly what I told you shouldn't do?
Right.
Yeah, no. People are stupid.
Like the big buff guy that ran out of air at the Aguila wreck.
Oh,
a big fish right there.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
That's a grouper.
At first.
Yeah. So that grouper swims right by here.
Groupers,
oh yeah, he's good.
There were so many on Aguila before. You never got to see it. Like you'd sit there like this, and they just swim right up to you, and you could pet them. And they were massive, man. They got fished out though, unfortunately.
That's tough.
Yeah.
No, it's a good setup here. It's a good little lagoon, but this is all a National Marine Sanctuary, right? So.
I saw an iguana swimming up or on the surface
Did
earlier.
You really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know they
could swim. I thought only the Galapagos ones that dove down could. Yeah, he jumped out of the tree.
Some planet Earth shit.
And actually, Doug pointed it out, and he swam over to the raft that's right here for the net. Yeah, it was wild.
All right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's big. He's a big boy.
Oh God.
That's awesome.
All right, so now we got iguanas in the water. Alligators in the sewer. Forget about it.
Well, this was awesome. So just reiterate, where can people find you again if they want to donate, they want to check you out, they want to...
Yeah, you can Google Joseph Dituri, or you can look up Dr. Deep Sea is my handle on Instagram and Twitter.
But not on Steam.
But not
Somebody's stealing your identity on Steam playing video games.
On Steam playing video games? Tell them.
I'll hunt them down.
Hunt that dude down. Be like, you're not Dr. Deep Sea. I know you're not. Then again, it might be one of my daughters, so be careful.
That's my dad.
That's my dad. Be like, okay, whatever. And then, Dr. Deep Sea YouTube page, whatever. But HBOTampa.com is the primary one for traumatic brain injury. And like I said, we're just trying to move the needle. And so everybody asks me the cost, so I'll just tell you straight out, right? Most intensive outpatient protocols, like people with me for 7.5 hours a day, every day, Monday through Friday, for an entire month, right? Most of them are $10,000 a week.
Okay.
We are $20,000 total.
For a month. Or 2 months.
Entire month. For an entire month, plus the intake for a week, plus the outtake.
Is that housing included?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So
housing is the problem.
But is that 3 squares a day?
No.
Okay.
No food, no food. That's the therapy. That's just your therapy for 8 hours a day, right?
20 G's. All right.
So you come in, you hopefully you can get to the point where you're on the right diet, you're taking the, because that's part of it, right? Like we talked about in the beginning, it's like if you start eating better, you start feeling better, you start eating the right stuff instead of, you know, the Oreos and crap that the kids bring down. I can't take it. I'm like, just give me the wrapper. I'll eat the wrapper instead of that Oreo. No.
The metal's more healthy for you.
Gotta be. But,
all right, where can people find you, Nick?
Warfighterscuba.org. We're definitely gonna, you know, 20 grand is a lot, but I think it's something that we can raise to start working together. My goal is I want to be able to vet for you, to do a little in-doc and say, look, I think this person would benefit.
Yeah.
They benefited significantly underwater with us. Continue on with you. So that's something that we're probably going to start reaching out to our donors for, is at least showcasing that, because that's the hardest thing that we fight, right?
Yeah.
Is we're doing a recreational sport that people do for leisure.
Yep.
But using it as therapy. So we get a lot of people that are like,
yeah,
are you really just doing like a trip, you know, all-inclusive trip, you know? Yes and no. I mean, yes, it is a trip in a Caribbean, you know, top 5 dive destination in the world. It's something that people pay a lot of money to do, but there's therapy behind it. You're a wealth of knowledge for me. I'm gonna be on your coattails just dragging the whole time.
Well, no. I'm gonna come down to Roatan.
And
I'm gonna bring my girl, and we're gonna go diving, and we'll talk story.
You got all day.
Yeah, you heard him.
I'll be there.
I'm coming. My wife already agreed. You're fine. Like, come on down.
Yeah.
You know, we actually have a group right now, which I will say I did check my phone a couple times because I'm having like anxiety over the fact that I'm not there while Joe has a group.
Yeah.
Although I know the group is in good hands with Joe. He's a Dev Group SEAL, so obviously
SEAL team operator. SEAL team.
He can handle it.
No. Okay, all right, listen, I'm not going to lie. I've been tied to guys in the water that had a silver star, right? Frogman that had a silver star. I got out of the water and I told the dive super, I said, if you ever tie me to that guy underwater to do dive calls again, I'll choke you. I said, because that guy's dangerous. So no offense.
Yeah, no, Joe's good. We did, I mean, my wife filmed his stress dive and I was ripping everything off him and everything. And he just sat there. Like,
yeah, he's aquatically adaptable. Yeah. He's been beat before underwater. That's not a thing.
I got to see his bud's dive phase.
Yeah.
He's smiling in the video getting thrashed. Yeah. I shit you not. He asked me not to share it with anybody, but I texted him right away. I said, you cheeky bitch. Like, that was you smiling, right? He's like, yeah, I knew you'd notice that. Like, you're sadistic, man. Like, I love him to death. But yeah, we have a group down there right now. We do it once a month, every month. We've got, 4 to 6 at most vets. And I would love for you to come down and
I'll come down. I'll talk the program. I'll talk it up. I'll tell you what you guys can do to supplement what you're doing right now. Help your people. Whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
Look, and if you got a person that's really on the downside and really bad, call me anyway, man. There's a lot of nonprofits that are up here. Even if you only have $5,000 and we can figure, nobody gets turned away. You don't get turned away at my clinic. Oh, you don't have money? Oh, go the hell away. No. We fix you and we'll figure it out. I'm not a businessman. Obviously, my accountant keeps telling me you are not running a business here. You're a moron. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to.
Right. Yeah, well, you're not going to be one of those people that fundraises all this money and then it just sits in your bank account and looks good, right?
Yeah. I don't even fundraise money. People just try and help, but I just sooner take it out of my pocket and make the guy better. And then the guy's like, wow, man, thank you. It's like, he sees that you care about him, so he wants to care about himself, right? Or herself, right? So I've seen that. Boy, I had a cop come in, female cop. She is the most grateful person on the planet. She's just like, thank you. And her story, it's horrific.
Well, I couldn't even imagine being a cop in today's climate anyway.
Horrific. Like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, my hats come off to all the cops and firefighters. Like, you run into the fire, you run towards the bullets. And nowadays, I'm 55, man. I run away from bullets. I'm like, fuck that. Y'all shooting over there? I'm not going over there.
Awesome. Well, hell yeah, that was a great conversation. Thanks for coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me. This is epic. You guys
thanks for having us, man. We came to you. Like,
but you brought me steak, man. Freaking hashtag winning.
Well, so I did bring him steak, so nobody can top that. I'm just saying. Like, you got like what, 80
something days left.
86, 87 more days left. So I better have given you the best meal.
Oh,
because that's my ego talking. Like,
so far, so good.
Yep.
Yes. Because apparently he needs my affirmation. Some guy that he hardly knows, he needs my affirmation. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Are you my dad?
What's going on?
Wait. And she said, Daddy? Oh, God. I swear. No, not
awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for letting us do this. And then
thanks,
we'll
man.
Keep
good stuff.
Yep,
I appreciate you having me. Guys, you guys are great.
Yeah, no, thank you, Joe.
Thanks again.
Man.